communities are built with love. It's not a LinkedIn request.
Yeah.
It's not a follow on Instagram. It's you do it with love, compassion. It's not built around an individual. It's built around a purpose. That common purpose that binds people. In my case, the common purpose was to help me get rescued, and the whole worldwide community came together and they all stood with me when I needed them the most. And the biggest transaction of my life happened right there.
Yeah.
When I was not there to even see that, witness that. What else you can ask from that community that's built out of love?
Welcome to this super special episode of the Find Your Ultra podcast. If you know Anurag Maloo, I know you can't wait for this episode to begin. In case you don't follow Anurag and don't know much about the Indian mountaineering scene, you've actually missed out on one of the most incredible stories of our times. Anurag is an Indian climber who went on an expedition to climb Mount Annapurna in Nepal, and something happened there. Now, before we get into what happened there, just a bit about Mount Annapurna. It's one of the highest mountains in the world. It's one of the 14 8,000 meter peaks, and Annapurna is known to be amongst the deadliest, if not the deadliest mountain on the planet. It has a very high fatality rate of 32%, which means for every 100 summits, there are about 32 climbers who lose their lives. Anurag was there April last year, which is nearly a year now. He was there, an accident happened, he fell into a crevasse and he was stuck inside of a crevasse on the deadliest mountain on the planet for 3 days. Multiple attempts were made to rescue him, but he was not found until 3 days. And when he was eventually found, they were looking for the body. It was a body recovery mission, but it turned into a rescue mission the moment they found out that this guy is still alive. It's without a doubt a miracle that he survived 3 days in such conditions. But what's also miraculous, the efforts of his family, is the support of his community, the rigor of his doctors. Everything about this story is nothing short of a miracle. This story surely needs its due attention because it is a one of its kind and I think once in a lifetime sort of a story. Every bit about it is just fascinating. So dive right in. But also, like we always do on the Find Your Ultra podcast, we don't just get to hear the stories, we also get to know the person. So Anurag turns out that he was living a fascinating life, a life full of rich experiences, even before mountaineering happened to him. So what you will also hear in this podcast is a lot of stories of travel, entrepreneurship, and social work. So let's get to know the person, his passions, his story. Let's dive right in. This is Anurag Maloo and me in the Find Your Ultra podcast, episode 48. Indulge away. Anurag bhai, welcome to the Find Your Ultra podcast.
Thank you.
I can't believe I'm here and I can't believe I've met you after all that you've been through, all the people who love you have been through. It's nothing short of miracle is a word that's overused now for in your context, but it's really, really amazing. It feels amazing to be sitting with you and talking.
Same here. It's my pleasure to be here with you and have this conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Glad you could make time. You're on a short trip here. Medical trip?
No. Just really, I had an event yesterday, and I was speaking with Teach for India alumni in Delhi. So I was a fellow in 2011. So that's why I was here for.
Okay, wonderful. Let's get to it then. Let's do this. Right off the bat, I would want to ask you, what's your gut feeling about? So I know the answer to this question is going to depend on what I'm going to ask in the podcast. But tell me what is your gut feel about this? That someone who's just tuned into this conversation and they stick around till the end, what are they going to walk away with?
Everyone will have their own takeaway. It won't be the same for everyone, for sure. Everyone will interpret this conversation in their own context with what is relevant for them. And
the stage of life they're in.
Yeah, because, this is a story that will resonate with different people in different ways. There are different shades to it and that people will relate with. So there will never be one outcome or one takeaway from this story. And I think that's how I would like it to be also. It will never be one tone or one shade or one way of looking at this. People will find their own elements that they will resonate themselves with. They will find themselves more in sync with. So yeah, and that's what I hope we are able to bring that out to the audience.
Yeah. No, that's what they say about a good podcast. It's like a journey. You never know where it takes you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great stuff. So the reason I wanted you on the podcast, first of all, and of course everybody wants you on the podcast today, because of what you've been through. The story is such an amazing and overwhelming story. So when this accident happened, I'm from the endurance community. Ultra running and running is our sport. And I don't know why, I'm still trying to figure out why I was so concerned about somebody who's I barely know. I got to know of you because of a podcast that I did with somebody, and you were the first guest on that podcast. तो उतने ही जान पहचान थी. And here's my wife, here are my friends who are just constantly asking me, we understand something's happened to somebody, but why are you so bothered? And I had no idea why I was so bothered. I felt a connection. And the day we got to know that you fell in a crevasse and you've not been found so far, and it had been, I think, a day, all hopes were being lost around that time. And I remember having like long conversations with my friends about this, on how fragile life is. Here was this guy, I just listened to his interview, and he's talking about his plans and ambitions and everything. And today you're telling me the guy has disappeared, and how does that work? So that whole episode, I still get chills when I think about that period. From my point of view, who was not even exposed to what your family was going through and what you were going through. Right? So which is why this is just super special to meet you and to be able to have this conversation. So I'm glad we are here.
Yes.
Let's begin. So I want to, of course, get to Annapurna. But before we do that, you were living a super interesting life before that as well. It was full of amazing things. Let's get to know some of that. Take us to your childhood. What was your upbringing like?
My initial years, until 4 years, I grew up with my grandparents and even my great grandparents back then in Narayana. It's in Jaipur district, our village, and that's where I studied for first 4 years with my parents. And then my mom really took a big strong decision in our family to pull me out of our village and take me to Kishangarh. For my better education, better prospects and opportunities. I grew up there till 8th grade, and I studied in Kishangarh in English medium school. Before that, I was in Narayana studying there, I think in nursery, KG, LKG or whatever. In school, I was a very bright kid, always the topper, and all my teachers used to love me. Obviously, parents used to love me. I was a good performing kid that way. And I was really also teacher's favorite child. So yeah, good life back then. I was only all about academics, and education. No relation at all with any sort of sports. And so yeah, that was my childhood. Very different from what I'm doing these days.
And what did you study?
In school or
So post school?
Post school, then I took science. I moved to Ajmer for 9th, 10th, then moved to Kota, studied for IIT preparation, JEE, and took up science maths. And that's what I did. Then after that, I went to college in Delhi and pursued BTech in IT and computer science.
Okay. And there was no sports back then?
There was no sports in my life, except one thing, that I was a very good sprint runner. And I used to do all these high jumps, triple jumps, long jumps, and winner in those jumps. And sprint short races, 100 meter, 200 meter, or 400 meter relay. That was my only relationship with sports. I never liked cricket or football or any other sport for matter.
And your parents, what was your childhood like from that point of view? What kind of parents did you have? Were they strict parents? Were they goal driven, or they were like
I mean, like,
pretty
I was
cool?
an obedient kid. So, like...
Easy to handle.
Yeah, easy to handle. I was not like a very difficult child for them to handle. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, God's grace, I had no major issues with parents or with anyone for the sake. Had a very warm relationship with them.
Anything in your childhood that has had an impact on the person that you've gone on to become?
I think I learned the value of discipline early in my life somehow. Yeah, maybe it's school or maybe parents or how they brought me up. But discipline was definitely one thing that I think I'm very good at.
How did they teach you? Like what did they make you do? And
Nothing really is, extraordinary. It's just going to school, like, or whatever sport I was doing. One thing I was also good at was the physical training, PT exercises. I used to also lead sometimes the PT for the entire school, like in my 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, or basically last years of my primary or early secondary school. But so maybe somehow discipline was there in it. मुझे नहीं पता why and how it came into me, But yeah, that was there. And I think that's my first memory of when I think of discipline, how it got inculcated early on in my life.
and how many siblings you have?
I have a younger brother and then a lot of cousins.
Okay. Yeah. And what did you want to become? I'm just curious. What did you want to become?
As a student, I wanted to become a scientist.
Okay.
And very much scientist.
Because science is fascinating.
I don't know. Like, it just like I always wanted to become a scientist. And in school days, I used to play the role of doctors in, school theaters or stage,
Plays.
performances, plays. And but somehow becoming scientist was definitely on the cards.
Okay. You traveled a lot. Did that happen after college or once you got into college, or when did that start?
Travel really started very late in my life. I mean, when I was growing up in my school days, or we didn't really travel a lot, at least definitely not outside India or anything like that. We did Char Dham Yatra, went to Kulu Manali and these kind of places, Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri, and these kind of travels, more religious travel did with family and grandparents, Vaishno Devi, or, a little bit of hill stations, Kashmir and Patnitop and these places, but never really traveled outside. All of that really happened for me in 2012 for the first time. I was teaching in Pune. I was a Teach for India fellow, teaching in Pune, very young kids, 2nd to 3rd grade kids, age group of 6 to 10-year-old kids. And during that time, it was my first opportunity where I got to travel to Pakistan. And that was my first ever trip outside India. And there were so many questions that were there in front of me from friends and family, and then like, oh, don't go to Pakistan, and you will never get a visa to US or America or like all these Europe and London, British. And I was like, I don't give a damn if they don't give me visa just because I visited Pakistan. I don't want to even visit those places, That was very simple answer for me. But Pakistan was a dream come true, and I was like, I want to go, definitely. I really want to be there. I want to experience what it feels like, looks like to a country that has always been told to you as the enemy country.
Yeah.
So I was just so curious. And so that's how my travel journey started to Pakistan.
Before we lose the thread of Pakistan, you've been there twice. So
I've been there twice.
Yeah. And what surprised you about travel to Pakistan?
We are all same.
Right.
We are all same. We are being told that we are different, but we are literally same. Same people, same culture, same language, to food, clothing, traditions, whatnot. All same quirky things, it's just all same.
Yeah.
It's just like
similar preferences,
arranged marriages, love, all same. There is not really any big difference.
We were one at one point.
And then both nations also believed in having faith. So that's the whole identity of these nations and their people. When you meet an ordinary Pakistani, you receive the same amount of love. You receive all the love and warmth that they would give it to anyone else too. But as an Indian, you will always get a little more from them, from anyone else. There is a special attention and a warmth that you receive when they learn about your Indian identity. Because not everyone has a chance to meet an Indian from the other side of the border. So there is just a special love and attention that you will get if they learn about your Indian identity.
I couldn't agree with that more. I had a chance to live in the UK for 5 years for my MBA, and I have never been able to go to Pakistan, but I've had a lot of Pakistani friends there. And I was surprised about similar along the lines of what you just said. Those guys are amazing, and also, one thing I learned was we know so little about Pakistan. Like, they know a lot more about India than we know about Pakistan.
Very true.
And our image is completely wrong of what of general people out there. People are just like us, and they've got the problems that we have, right?
Exactly.
बच्चे पालने हैं, घर चलाना है, उन्हें भी they're worried about the same things, and they're struggling, and
Absolutely.
It connects all of us. Like, we're
just like when we started the podcast, before that, I was chatting with my best friend in Pakistan. So this is how I communicate almost every day. I'm, in touch with my friends in Pakistan. So it's, they're part and parcel of our lives. And
absolutely. And what are some of the other travels of yours which have been enriching, and would you say travel has had an impact on your life?
Huge impact. My real learnings in life happened not from an MBA. I never did also, but I really learned through travels, through meeting people, through all these experiences that life has offered me. And travel has definitely had one of the biggest impacts in my life, apart from mountaineering. Like, travel is what has shaped me as a person, my character, my viewpoints, my preferences, how I interact with people. Travel had a huge role in shaping, my life. I've traveled to quite a lot of places.
60 countries.
Close to 60 or a little more maybe. And I've been to South Asia for sure many, many times. Southeast Asia, Central Asia a lot. Then largely Asia Pacific, Africa, Europe, US, South America, Antarctica, except Australia. So 6 continents, but Australia is still not there yet. And been to all sorts of places, from starting with Pakistan to Antarctica to Bangladesh to Philippines to all sorts of places, Afghanistan, Bhutan 10 times or whatever. South Asia is really, I call myself like my home, where I've been there too many times. I understand people, their culture, their, lifestyle, their sense of belongingness. I don't see myself only with an Indian identity, but a largely, Asian or South Asian identity.
Okay, and in your travels, there have been so many great experiences and stories, and you say it has shaped you as a person. In what ways would you say has it shaped you as a person? What would you have missed out on had you not done all of this?
So much. Like, you first of all learn about people. What we think, by sitting in our own cocoons, in our own homes, is always thinking of others as, we always look at differences. But when you meet people, when you go and travel, you see how similar we are. It brings you a lot more closer to the reality that which we will never had a chance to see if we don't travel. And for me, that definitely has changed so much of my perspective towards life, that in the end, we are very similar humans, We have same hopes, same dreams, aspirations, challenges, problems. And when you see that sense of belongingness, you find yourself one with the world, that we are not really different. We may have our own differences, and that's okay. So travel has helped me build a lot of my tolerance.
Yeah.
I'm a vegetarian. I travel the world. So many of these, countries where non-vegetarian is the main cuisine. But people have been extremely compassionate there for me to offer me cooking vegetarian meals at their homes. I remember my Afghan mom, like my friend's mom, I call her my Afghan mom. She cooked like the whole big Afghan meal for me when I visited their home, full of delicacies, just all the Afghan dishes. I cherished and loved them so much. So when you receive, all this love, you see that we are very similar people.
Yeah.
We all have same desires to find a sense of belongingness with each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it reminds me of an experience in Spain. And I've in my travels also, I've been blown away with the hospitality and love that you get from people. And they go out of their way. Like, we were staying in this really good hotel in Spain. I went on a volunteer program there, and the staff was amazing. And I was the only vegetarian there, and I really struggled with food, and they were cooking really terrible vegetarian food. But it was overwhelming to see them bring like dish after dish for me. Okay, we've made this for you. Why don't you try this?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, khareed
They
liya
go
aapne
out
mujhe
of
is
their
effort
way,
se. Yeah.
They go out of their way.
Yeah. Which is amazing. Yeah, which is what makes you human.
And you only experience these things when you start to travel.
Yeah.
When you have put into difficult situations, different situations, and how people find different ways to, meet your needs.
100%.
You're not in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then you start to find yourself in comfort zone because people make efforts. People put that, conscious effort in, bringing that comfort to you.
Yeah. So while we're at this, also tell us what work you were doing that enabled all of this travel. Matlab, how were you able to do this?
Yeah, great question. I mean, so last decade of my life, last 10 years, I've spent helping entrepreneurs in emerging markets, and mainly in Asia Pacific. That was my region and where my role was focused on. So I work with technology entrepreneurs in emerging markets, and now last 4 years more focused towards helping entrepreneurs, those who are solving for UN global goals, which we call as known as sustainable development goals, social innovation, and entrepreneurs working to solve environment, climate related problems, agriculture, education, women, gender, tourism, healthcare, financial inclusion. So these are the kind of entrepreneurs I used to work with in my role, and enabling them to succeed in their lives. And so that was my role, really focused on helping entrepreneurs in emerging markets, especially across Asia Pacific.
Okay. Would you mind clicking on one of these? Let's say if you're in Pakistan or Afghanistan.
Yeah.
What are you doing there exactly?
Yeah, definitely. In Pakistan and Afghanistan, I used to run a program, a startup innovation program, kind of a boot camp, helping people build their ideas into startups. You have an idea, you don't know what to do with it. I'll help you take that idea forward so that you can start something with that idea. How do you shape an idea into a startup? From ideation to team formation to building upon that idea in terms of forming a product. And that's what I was doing by running a program called Startup Weekend. That's something I grew across the region in Asia, creating access to opportunities for people to experience entrepreneurship firsthand. What does it take to become an entrepreneur, and how do you start when you have an idea? What do you do? What is the next step? And every entrepreneur has different challenges, different needs. They are on their different journey. Someone is just having an idea. Someone has already started at a very seed stage or early stage or growth stage or pre-revenue, post-revenue. Everyone is on their own journey of entrepreneurship. And how do you help them where they need help? Wherever they are on that spectrum of entrepreneurship journey. So if someone is at a seed stage, how do you take them from here to here? Someone is at a growth stage, how do you take them from here to next stage?
Right.
Helping them get to IPO.
And you were doing, sorry to interrupt you, you were doing that through some workshops that you had designed?
Yeah, I used to conduct these programs, short-term programs, let's say 3-day program called Startup Weekend. We used to run incubators, pre-incubators, accelerators, pre-acceleration programs. So all of these programs are designed for entrepreneurs. Some are 3-day programs, some are 2 weeks programs, some are 3 months program, some are like 6 weeks programs. So different programs for the different needs of entrepreneurs and running and helping them in their journey. My role was to build a startup ecosystem that allows these entrepreneurs to succeed. When I say startup ecosystem, it means bringing the entire community together who can help an entrepreneur succeed. That means let's bring the mentors together. Right. Let's also bring the investors together. Let's bring the co-working owners together. Let's bring the government and policymakers together. Let's also bring, judges from the ecosystem. Let's bring all sorts of players who, civil society together, NGOs together. Whoever has a role in shaping an entrepreneur's journey, let's bring that whole community together. Let them meet each other so that they don't depend on me, rather than they are empowered themselves to move forward in their journey. I don't want them to become dependent on me. I want them to succeed even when I am not there. And for them, what I can do is bring the whole ecosystem together, plug them with each other, connect them so that they know where they have to go. They can reach out and ask for support from each other. So my role is catalyzing that ecosystem development, building that right network, building that startup community, getting all of them together so that they can succeed.
Amazing. A lot of my audience is well in their 30s, and a lot of them are in really good jobs, doing well for themselves, and have saved up and considering startups. So I know tips and tricks are for amateurs, but I'll still play that anyway. What would be your advice?
I mean, first start. That's the whole thing. Rather than waiting for the idea to get perfect, start, test it out. Do market research, talk to your customers. Who are you solving this problem for? Understand the problem that you're trying to solve. If you can understand the problem, don't think of idea so much. Think of the problem that you want to solve. Once you know the problem that you're trying to solve, the solution may vary, the solution may change, it may pivot. Solution is not the only thing that you should go after. Solution तो इसीलिए है कि वो change होगा. The whole point, it's not the one way to solve the problem. There could be many ways to solve the problem. So understand the problem. Be so obsessive or possessive about the problem rather than solution. Your solution is not necessarily the best solution. It will evolve. Be open to the idea of evolution of a solution or the idea that you want to work upon. But stick around with the problem that you want to solve. Keep that always in mind, and the solution will follow naturally.
Brilliant. I think that's an amazing advice. That's fabulous. Great, sir. I mean, this was a bonus. I hadn't thought of this. So now, before we wrap the thread of entrepreneurship, tell me why you're so passionate about entrepreneurship.
I mean, entrepreneurship is, for me, it's always about giving access to opportunities. Equal opportunity. It levels up the playing field for everyone. It gives you an opportunity to become who you want to become, to solve the problems that our world faces. So for me, entrepreneurship gives you an opportunity to equalize yourself in this world. These days we celebrate entrepreneurs. You're solving a core problem, and that's what I felt, आपका कोई भी background हो doesn't really matter. To become an entrepreneur, you don't need a degree to be, you have to graduate from an IIT or IIM or an NIT or you have to become a CA. Anyone and everyone can become an entrepreneur. It equalizes everyone.
So what do you feel about those who say entrepreneurs are born, not everyone's an entrepreneur?
I think entrepreneurship is a mindset.
Everyone
You
can
learn. Everyone can become. It's a mindset. It's not about always building a company. It's a mindset you need. An entrepreneurship mindset is also very much needed when you do climb mountains. I see also comparison of, entrepreneurship journey and mountaineering journey. They're very similar. Very similar. So it's a mindset. Oh, so many ways. You need to make tough decisions. You need to have a vision. You need to set goals. You need like a lot of perseverance and resilience. A lot of teamwork is required to build a company in a similar way.
Full accountability.
Accountability. There's so many things. There are such similar parallel journeys, entrepreneurship and at the same time, mountaineering.
Yeah.
So it's a mindset. And mountaineering also teaches you the same mindset that you need, And I think, entrepreneurs can be also great mountaineers, but mountaineers can also become great entrepreneurs.
Okay. Now, in the story also that you shared with, let's say your work in Pakistan, you also touched upon, social change there. You've done some work with women and, girl child development and stuff like that. How does that fit into the same? Because I understand the startup ecosystem and your entrepreneurship mentorship, ye ek kaam hai. But how does the other side of it come in? How does social work, social change work come into your work?
So, मेरे बहुत जल्दी start हो गया था. I would say in college. I used to teach, in college when I was studying there, and हमारे college में, children of our drivers in college, and I was volunteering a lot. In college, I started volunteering. Maybe I volunteered with 10, 12 or 10, 15 different organizations when I was in college. And for me, that changed the whole trajectory of my life. All the decisions I made for me moving to an education sector after college, from IT and technology to becoming a teacher, it all came through volunteering that I did. I got a lot more inclined towards social change. I wanted to bring change in our society. And for me, that was my beginning of, the journey towards working in social development or social entrepreneurship or this sector. And last whole decade or even more, I've worked with different organizations in different capacities, either as volunteer or full-time, all for different causes. So volunteering is something no one is asking you to do. You're a volunteer, खुद से करते हो आप, volunteer कर रहे हो आप. No one is asking you to do it, right? It's my voluntarily act that I'm doing. I care about something, I do that.
Yeah.
For me, similar was in entrepreneurship also. You see a problem that you want to solve. No one is asking you to solve that problem. You are voluntarily taking action to solve that problem. But this time as an entrepreneur, you're also finding a business angle to it. To solve a problem with a business mindset so that it can also generate revenue. So for me, these mindsets are very similar. These are all mindset. Volunteering, bringing change to entrepreneurship, bringing change with business. A approach is business. You also make money. There is a transaction happening. Mountaineering. Again, it's again volunteer act, but mountaineering and entrepreneurship, again, similar mindsets. So it's for me, it's like all of this journey, everything that I've been doing, it's about the mindset, how you operate in this world.
Let's switch gears. How did mountaineering happen?
So pehli baar when I was, in 2011-12, I was living in Pune as a Teach for India fellow. On weekends, we used to go on treks. Because I was in Pune, there is beautiful Sayadris in rainy season, monsoon season, It's just so beautiful to trek. So that's what we used to do. And in 2013, I went to Antarctica expedition with Sir Robert Swan.
Yeah.
And that changed the game for me. I knew there what I experienced, that I felt a strong connection with the mountains. I didn't know what will I be doing with the mountains, but I knew somehow I want to see myself more often in the mountains. I want to see myself climbing, but वो connection कहीं ना कहीं मिल गया था मुझे वहाँ पे. But I never really pursued because I got too busy in life with travels and work. Never really prioritized mountaineering. But when COVID happened in 2020, that's where mountaineering really started for me. I joined this expedition Triple Pass Challenge where we were supposed to cross Uttarakhand from the mountains of Uttarakhand to enter into Himachal Pradesh through the mountains route. It was led by Bachendri Pal ma'am and organized by Tata Steel Adventure Foundation. 21 days I was there with Bachendri ma'am. That solidified my dream to continue and pursue mountaineering. I had fantastic time spending time with her, having a lot of conversations, sharing my dreams and hopes, I want to climb, this is how I wanted to climb. And I asked her, and the first thing she said was, go and do the mountaineering course, BMC.
Yeah.
First thing is do the course, mountaineering course. And that's what I did. But I did that later on. Before that, I actually climbed 2 6,000 meter peaks in Ladakh with TSAF only. And after coming back from there a week later, I enrolled myself in a BMC at Nehru Institute of Mountaineering and did my mountaineering course. And then climbing really started after that. Went to Satopan, did Mount Noon in Ladakh. Satopan was an attempt. I couldn't summit because of I had some AMS signs. So I returned back from the higher camp, from Camp 1. Then did Mount Noon, Ahmedablam, Island Peak, some high altitude like passes above 5,000 meters, 6,000 meters. So that's how really it all started. And
how high is Ahmedablam?
Oh, lovely! One of my favorite mountains. Very technical, very beautiful mountain. Oh, I love Ahmedablam so much. Just like perfect mountain.
Wow. What's the altitude like?
6,812 meters.
Okay.
It's not 7,000, but very technical mountain.
That's higher than K2.
No. K2 is 8,600 something.
Sorry, I'm confusing that with the
Matterhorn. It's known as a Matterhorn of the Himalayas. It's like in Alps they have Matterhorn.
Okay.
But not close to K2.
Okay. No, not K2. I'm confusing it with the one that's Kilimanjaro. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Much
higher than Kilimanjaro.
Much higher than Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro is some 5,000 something.
Yeah, I think close to 6, like 5,900
exactly,
something. Yeah. And it's a park, national park.
Yes. It's a very different. It's like not a technical mountain. It's a trekkable peak.
It is. I'm friends with Milind Soman. So Milind's mother, I met her a few times and she told me she's done Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
And she says she's 83 now and she says Kilimanjaro is a walk in the park. Like, wow.
No, I don't call any mountain that way. Every mountain has their own difficulties and challenges.
For sure. It's definitely not advisable to take any mountain lightly.
Yeah.
I also had Colonel Romil Barthwal on the podcast in Everest. And he also said the same thing. He said, you can't take mountains lightly, no matter the altitude, the elevation, anything.
Weather change can give you a good taste of what a mountain is.
Yeah.
Never underestimate any mountain.
So, Anurag, take us to Annapurna. How do you feel talking about it though?
Oh, great. I mean, no trauma.
It's not, no. Okay. Wonderful.
So it was my first 8,000 meter peak after doing all of these 6,000ers, 7,000ers, technical mountains. I think I was ready for a big 8,000 meter and Annapurna was my first 8,000 meter peak.
Why over Everest and all the other options?
I mean, it's the most deadliest mountain, and if it has to be my first one, it has to be Annapurna.
So why do you want to do the deadliest one first?
Oh, why not? If I can do Annapurna, then I can do pretty much any mountain on the planet. That was my simple idea. That
Okay.
if I can do Annapurna, I can do any mountain. What is more difficult than Annapurna? So straightforward. The answer was
Eat
very
that
clear.
frog mindset. Like do the hardest, toughest
Do the
one
hardest
first.
first, you know. If you can do that, then you are ready for anything else in the life.
So when you decided to do that, what was the conversation like with family?
I just tell my parents I'm going to climb mountains. It's not what mountain, and they don't know anything about the mountains, you know.
Okay.
Now everyone knows about Annapurna, but like, you know, I'm like Everest, I'm telling them I will do Annapurna, Everest, Lhotse, and Makalu, and blah, blah, blah. Okay.
But aren't they familiar with the conditions there? Like we've seen it in movies, Everest the movie.
Yeah. I mean, but no one know Annapurna in detail or, you know, a lot of specific details about Annapurna in particular. For them, it's just one other mountain.
Okay.
I know that for sure.
Yeah.
But they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So once you decided to go for Annapurna and you reached the base camp, what was your training like leading up to Annapurna?
So for me, training for mountains always happens in mountains. When I'm on the ground, I can work on my cardiovascular endurance, running. But my real training always happened in Ladakh, in mountains itself. So I kind of always moved my base to Ladakh. I started spending a lot of my time there in morning hours, training, going for hikes, 3,500 meters, and always go and touch 4,000 meter. So that's what my everyday routine was. Start and gain 600 meters, gain every day, and come back. And if I need to do a lot more, go up, come back, and then go up again, and then come back, so that my body is able to, you know, gain a lot of altitude every day. So I wanted to position myself in that environment so that my body knows what it takes to exert, what it takes to train in that environment. If I have to live in the mountains for a long time for these expeditions, you know, 2 months. So my training was always in Ladakh, winter climbing and then trekking, and then, you know, just every day training there, spending time in the mountain with my backpack, always, you know, carrying like at least 20 to 25 kgs in the backpack, and then up and down, up and down. So that was my routine really, you know, spending at least 4 to 5 hours in the morning. Start like 6 a.m. if it is too cold, 7 a.m. and then come back by 11 or 12, and then like get ready for the work rest of the day.
Okay. And when you reached the base camp, what was the feeling like?
Great. It was lovely, beautiful base camp actually Annapurna has. It's not very high. It's close to 4,200 or 300. It's a very low altitude base camp. Not like Everest, you know, not in 5,300 or 5,500. Very low, 4,200 meters, and very beautiful base camp. Yeah, it was good. Like everyone was gathered there. We had a lot of fun time.
Were you going to climb with oxygen or without oxygen?
Oh, I was climbing with oxygen.
Okay.
I would never climb Annapurna without oxygen as my first ever 8,000 meter. I'm not ready for that. So for me, it was always very clear when I decided to do Annapurna that I'll climb with oxygen. I was initially considering Manaslu also. That I would have climbed without oxygen. That was my plan for Manaslu without oxygen. But for Annapurna, I would never risk that.
Yeah.
You know, knowing it's also the deadliest and difficult, but at the same time, it's Annapurna.
And there were so many articles, some of them really good ones also, but some of them mentioning stuff like this. That,
all of these rumors were there during that time. Oh, I was climbing without oxygen. No,
without oxygen, because on the morning Anurag found out that Baljit is climbing without oxygen, so he decided at the last minute to climb without. Yeah.
All of these are
Rumors.
false claims and rumors. No one spoke to me. You know, I was climbing with oxygen. I started using oxygen after 7,000 meter. in the last 1 kilometer stretch, 1,000-meter stretch, that's when I started using oxygen.
Okay.
It's like when I'm ready for it, then I'll use it.
Sure. So what was the climb like leading up to 7,000 meters? How did that go?
It was
What do you
good. I
remember?
mean, good climb.
Who's your Sherpa?
Dawadai, and from Darjeeling. He was recommended by my main Sherpa, Mingmadai, from Darjeeling. He recommended him, and he was a very strong, good Sherpa. And he actually got frostbite on our way to climb to the summit. He already got frostbite. And unfortunately, he also had a little amputation in his toe.
Okay.
Because of the frostbite.
Same climb.
Yeah, same climb. And I was okay during that time, but he got, and then I think he had little amputation there. It was a lovely climb, from base camp to rotations to the higher camps, and then further to the summit push. We started on one of the days, I don't know, April 15th or so. I think we started on April 15th for the summit push, from Camp 4, then going to the summit. And I think in afternoon around 1 o'clock, I was 150 meters below the summit. And it was too late in that afternoon for me to reach the summit. It would have taken me another 3 hours, 3.5 hours to reach the last 150 meters to reach the summit. And then Chepaldai said, it'll be too late for you to reach there. By the time you'll return back, it's just too late and dangerous. You'll put your life at risk and your Sherpa's also life at risk. So the best thing I could have done during that time and that decision I took was like, okay, let's listen now. I'll make another attempt after a couple of days when there is a good weather window and then when I can climb faster.
Right.
So that was my plan. Let's do it 4 or 5 days later whenever there is a good weather window. So we started descending down. We reached back the Camp 4 around 5 p.m. or so. I just met the Baljit who is starting from Camp 4 for her summit push without oxygen. So I met her, we greeted, exchanged, say hello and all of that. She said, take care of yourself. I was very tired, all of that. And we came back and had quick dinner and then I slept. Next morning we woke up on 16th. This was 16th night. We slept next morning on 17th April.
And you were at Camp 4?
Camp 4. We woke up Camp 4 and in the morning we pushed for Camp 3 quickly, 2 hours. And we quickly reached Camp 3 करीब 10-10:30 बजे के आसपास. And then from Camp 3 we were on our way to Camp 2. And our plan was to have hot lunch at, Camp 2 once we reach. So we are not carrying a lot of food or, apples or water and a lot of these things. Because थोड़ी देर में तो पहुंच ही जाएंगे, we'll reach the Camp 2 and we'll have a good hot meal there. Suddenly at one point while crossing, between Camp 3 and Camp 2, that's also known as the most dangerous section of Annapurna. I mistakenly picked the wrong rope.
What makes it the most dangerous section?
Because of the avalanches. Okay. Every 30 minutes there are avalanches that keeps coming up there. So that's what makes it very difficult. Okay. And a lot of seracs and just very difficult terrain that is. Okay. So I was crossing that.
But how were you? So when you returned back from 150 meters from summit, you went to Camp 4 and slept. Yeah. So whatever fatigue and everything that was there, you would have eased off by the next.
Thoda to, yeah. I mean, we were continuously walking for 18-20 hours. So fatigue is still there. It's at this high altitude, fatigue doesn't go away right away. Even like, what do you sleep in the high altitude? Hardly you get sleep first of all. So fatigue doesn't go overnight. Couple of nights, good sleep at a lower altitude. Then only you will like release all that fatigue. So वो तो हमेशा रहेगा. In high altitudes, you need to be ready to experience that kind of fatigue for good stretch. Good stretch, couple of days, not just couple of days, maybe sometimes for weeks. because you are staying at like above 6,000 meter, 5,000 meter all this while.
Yeah.
So that's a high altitude. You don't have a good sound sleep there,
For sure.
So,
Yeah, even in races that happen in Ladakh, people who get during the race, the blood oxygen goes down and they get AMS. They are, that's what they say, the only solution is to take you down.
yeah, take you
आपको
down.
नीचे जाना
descend
पड़ेगा
down.
और कुछ नहीं है. So cool. So between camp 4 and camp 3, how are you feeling? Little less fatigued.
नहीं
You're
आराम
fine.
से फटाफट से आ गए. It doesn't
अच्छा.
take long.
Yeah.
It's a simple, straightforward route, not very difficult.
And then between 3 and 2.
Between 3 and 2 is where I'm suddenly at one point I mistakenly picked the wrong rope. It was too short. And basically it was tied from one end, but the other end was open.
But why were they 2 in the first place?
First of all, that rope shouldn't have been there. And when the Sherpas are fixing the ropes, they should remove that rope. And I think that was the mistake. That rope shouldn't have been there, which was there.
Right. Because I've seen that photo and I've seen that video
Yeah.
as well. Right.
Oh, I haven't seen the video. If
you
you can
haven't?
share, no.
So in which, I don't know whether this was your Sherpa or a fellow climber.
Yeah, I think it was Moses. I've heard about this video. I think it was Moses, the Brazilian climber, who recorded something.
Right. They're screaming your name. They're
Yes.
saying hello, hello. Yeah, I've seen that
Yeah,
video.
I haven't seen it. I would love to see it if you have it. Yeah,
It's on one of the articles. I'll find it and give it to you.
please.
So yeah.
I've seen the photo though of the rope
Right.
that was too short.
Yeah.
And they were screaming that, I'm making a mistake, but I obviously couldn't hear anything in the mountain. There's strong winds and you didn't hear anything. And and in fraction of seconds, gravity is there pulling you.
Yeah.
बस हो गया उस टाइम पे 300 meter fall and then 80 meters from the icy surface to the crevasse, inside the crevasse. And I was there for 3 days and 3 nights, and then on 4th day the rescue team, both these Polish climbers, Adam Marius and the team of Sherpas that came together to recover my body. And they were there to recover my body and retrieve my body. And but then they found me alive. So then quickly the body recovery mission turned into a rescue mission.
Right.
And फिर तो बस airlift करके कैसे भी बाहर निकाला from these avalanche prone slopes of Annapurna. This time Sobit, जो helicopter pilot थे, उसके लिए बहुत difficult था. It was very difficult to fly there.
Right.
He didn't land the plane, just place the skis, the front skis on the, slopes, and then quickly airlifted me from there and took me to Pokhara. That's where I was given CPR. That lasted for 4 hours. And then, I took my first breath. And then I was quickly airlifted from Pokhara to Kathmandu, where I was treated for 21 days. Yeah. Then was airlifted again from Kathmandu to AIIMS in Delhi. And then rest 6 months there. So almost 7 months of journey in the hospital, undergoing almost 9 surgeries. And and then in the month of November, I was, out of the hospital. So that's kind of, the whole journey.
You've been a community builder. And in one of your talks, you say, build a community before you need it. What does community mean to you? And what does this line mean, like building a community?
That's what I've been doing from last 13 years, bringing people together. That's what community means to me. Bring people together for a common purpose, for a reason that they feel they are part of, something larger than themselves. And for me, that's a community. It's not built around an individual. It's built around a purpose. That common purpose that binds people, that binds all those participants in the community together. In my case, the common purpose was to help me get rescued, and the whole worldwide community came together with one common purpose in mind. They were all self-mobilized, self-organized, thousands of people from 60 different countries, all coming together to rescue me. बट हुआ कैसे है? जब उसको रेट्रो में देखता हूँ तो मैं यही तो कर रहा था पिछले 13 साल से. Getting people together, building non-transactional relationships with them. Building these relationships with love, investing in people, not seeking anything from them, genuinely helping, being there for them when they needed me, and they all stood with me when I needed them the most. And the biggest transaction of my life happened right there. When I was not there to even see that, witness that. But they all did it. Without even expecting or knowing that if I'll be coming back in life to see that day, what all they did. But they all did when I was not there. What else you can ask from that community that's built out of love? For me, communities are built with love. It's not a LinkedIn request. It's not a follow on Instagram. It's you do it with love, out of love, pure love, compassion, with a lot of empathy. Those relationships last longer. Don't expect these transactions to happen right away. Give it time. Don't think that I need something from right now from him.
If you approach it that way, it will not even become a relationship. It will just be a transaction.
Exactly. आप उसको limitation लगा देते हो वहीं पे. I need something from him. अगर वो नहीं मिला तो फिर my relationship with him is over. You're not giving it enough chance and time and air for this relationship to thrive and to see that light of the day. What it can become. The potential of this relationship. आपने तो वहीं खत्म कर दिया transaction करके.
Build a community before you need it.
Build a community before you need it. This is one of my mentor and my friend at Techstars, John Hill, said that. He talks about the power of network, the power of community, and that's the biggest lesson I've learned.
I mean, it's a silly little, but I can just relate to this so much. When I had to start this podcast, there were 3-4 people who I had done something for in past, with no expectation of anything in return. For example, my friend Keshav came to me. He wanted help with nutrition because he wanted to do a triathlon. And I said, we'll do it. Like, you're a friend and no commercials, nothing this. You're just a friend. We're learning, I'm learning, and we'll do it. Him, and then my friend Nishant, whose device I'm using till date. Like, I borrowed it from him and, he's given it to me to use it. He needed help with something like my bike or whatever. And I was like, it's yours. And another friend, I didn't have a studio to record. There's a friend of mine who runs a news channel. And I had helped him because he was drinking too much. And I had, counseled him a little bit and we brought it down for no reason. And I said, I'll monitor it for you, and just because I'm concerned about you. So in none of these, I had no hope of or expectation of getting anything in return.
You were invested in those people.
I just loved them and I did it out of love. And when it came to starting the podcast, Keshav was the one who helped me conceive it. Nishant gave me equipment. Jhaji gave me his studio. He says,
exactly.
It all comes together in weird ways.
Every day happening in my life. Every day. Today I've become that person who's all the time receiving and receiving and receiving. Sometimes it's so overwhelming also to keep receiving.
I can imagine. But like you said, it's great to have that awareness that honestly, this is what you've been doing for the last 13 years. मुझे लगता है कि आपके पास कुछ ऐसे ही आ जाता है. आप you've done something, like you've maybe उस proportion में नहीं होगा या disproportionate तो होगा. Maybe you've done more and received a little less, or maybe you've done less and received a little more. वो होगा, but you have your life in front of you, and you know the ways in which you're going to make a difference. So True. Yeah, thank you for sharing it. Now, going back a little bit, when you picked the wrong rope and you fell in the crevasse, उसके बाद जो 3 दिन और 3 रातें थी, paint us a little picture of that. You don't have much memory of that.
I have no memory.
But do you have memory of the fall as well?
No, I only know that something wrong has happened. वो fraction of seconds में बस कुछ तो गड़बड़ हुआ है, बस वही है.
I love the honesty, man. इस तरह के एक्सपीरियंस के बाद तो लोग बाबा बन जाते हैं कि मुझे तो ये दिखा, मुझे वो दिखा.
वो कुछ नहीं, मेरे को कोई लाइट नहीं दिखी, वो लाइट आ रही है मेरे सामने, कुछ नहीं दिखा मेरे को. नहीं, हाँ सॉरी. अगर वो आंसर सुनने हैं तो मेरे पास नहीं है.
Precisely. I'm so glad you're not.
नहीं, याद ही नहीं है. तो मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ आ जाए कभी याद, जब रेडी होगी मेरी बॉडी एंड माइंड. आई मीन राइट नाउ माय माइंड इज प्रोटेक्टिंग मी फ्रॉम दैट ट्रॉमा एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई थिंक इट्स नॉट कमिंग बैक.
No, but you made some videos.
I made some.
What is in those videos?
कुछ नहीं, I mean I'm talking about the pain, I'm cooking rescue stories, ये होगा वो होगा. And I was hopeful throughout this videos, and then एक final video में मैंने goodbye बोल दिया सबको. I think हो गया मेरा time. And अब उम्मीद नहीं लग रही है, it's my time. तो बस वो goodbye video बना दिया.
Video की time stamps में होगा from the first video to the last video.
तीनों दिन के videos है.
तीनों दिन के videos है.
तीनों दिन conscious था basically.
Wow. So but it's just that there's no memory because of what happened after that.
Yeah.
And what had happened then? Do you feel you were caught in an avalanche? ऊपर से और बर्फ गिरी?
मैं 3 दिन तक आराम से chill, I was really chilling. तो आराम से
How big was the space? But you won't know. Video में पता लगा?
वीडियो में देख के ही तो पता लगा. Think of this space. I'm sitting there comfortably,
अच्छा.
आराम से बैठा हूँ, अपना बैग रखा हुआ है, यहाँ पे मेरी पी बॉटल है, आराम से ऐसे बैठा हूँ. And but जिस पोजीशन में मैं मिला था उसमें केवल हेलमेट दिख रहा था.
हाँ.
तो इट मीन्स समथिंग हैज हैपेंड एट नाइट. जो लास्ट वीडियो बनाया और उसके बाद में जो हुआ है वो मैं उस पोजीशन में तभी जा सकता हूँ, एक एवलांच आएगा और मेरे को पूरा आइस में कवर कर देगा, स्नो में कवर कर देगा. एंड आई थिंक वही हुआ था. एक बड़ा एवलांच आया था जिसमें मैं केवल मेरा हेलमेट्स का सिर दिख रहा था, वो वही कलर दिख रहा था और उसी से पता लगा मैं यहाँ हूँ. तो सो आई थिंक दैट हैपेंड एट नाइट, एंड an avalanche came and covered me in the snow and buried me there fully. And I think that's where I got unconscious.
And you said you're hopeful for all 3 days.
Yeah, I was hopeful for all 3 days.
Can I know a little bit more about those? Like I know I'm just dragging this on a little bit more. So what videos are you going to make them public at any point? No. Why is that?
It's my personal, very personal to me.
But at that time,
maybe in future, if we do a movie or something,
and that should happen, and I have a feeling that will happen. Yeah, no, I have a feeling, and it should, right? Because the story is just incredible. It's overwhelming. It's unbelievable. Yeah, great. In those videos, are you sitting there and contemplating? Have you seen the movie 27 Hours?
Yeah, 127 Hours.
127 Hours, sorry, yeah. And were you contemplating are there any deep thoughts around that time? Okay, here I am and what's going to happen? And how did you feel in those videos? What do you feel you're saying?
I was hopeful. For sure, I was hopeful.
And if you had to say goodbye in the final goodbyes, what were you feeling like? Did you feel...
I was smiling.
You were smiling?
Yeah.
That's so awesome to know that. It's crazy. I mean, you're that kind of a person. Which is why I also wanted to ask you that, a lot of things have happened. They had to happen that way for you to be rescued out of this. उनमें से कुछ भी एक चीज़ अगर नहीं होती तो शायद नहीं होता. For somebody like Adam being available there, so him getting a rope that was 70
meters,
instead of the regular one, right?
Exactly, 50
the shorter
meters.
one.
Yeah.
All of this, like, it could go wrong anywhere. And
Absolutely.
I've seen Adam's interview.
There were just a series of miracles that led me to being rescued. If one thing wouldn't have been there or worked out in my favor, I wouldn't be sitting here and talking to you. There are n number of things that could go wrong, but that particular day, that particular time, in that moment, everything worked out in favor of me. Those were like just a series of miracles happening back to back.
Yeah, we were in communication with whoever we could talk to, trying to get updates, and even friends like who follow mountaineering scene, and everybody was like, there's a very slim chance with every passing day.
I think mountaineers know the reality, and mountaineers were the first ones to give up because they know the reality of mountains, There is nothing wrong about it, but when you've lived there, you've been there, the chances are very, very slim.
Yeah. Anurag, if there's one thing that I take away from your story, मुझे उसी time लग गया था. The moment I got the news that he's been found alive, I was shocked beyond belief because I was like, dude, जो बोलते हैं ना never give up वाली बात, वो इस केस में तो सामने दिखी है, नजर आया है. Your brother's efforts, and what would it take? Like it'll take a human being a second to give up and say, ठीक है यार, अब पता है आपको कि क्या हुआ है, right? You could have given up on day 1, you could have given up on day 2, on day 3, like even at the last minute when you're about to maybe make a breakthrough. Let's say had Adam given up at any point, saying इतना नीचे गए हैं but ठीक है नहीं है यार, हमने सब ट्राई कर लिया, let's go.
Exactly.
Like for them to go that extra mile and find hope in the impossible and then making the impossible happen, it's insane.
Everyone did not give up, including Adam, Marius, family, helicopter pilot, agreed to flying there in that dangerous portion of Annapurna. Everyone, the doctor,
doctors.
like 4 घंटे तक CPR, everyone, family, cousins, uncle, like everyone. Indian embassy, like I have millions of people I'm grateful to, I can't even thank or, can't even count all of them now. It's too many, endless list.
How has this encounter with near-death experience changed your life? I mean, it's obvious for a lot of reasons, but what do you feel, in what ways has it
Only
changed
for
you?
better, only for good, for sure. I mean, it definitely has played a huge role now. I mean, in my mindset again. मतलब मेरी तो कहानी सब mindset के around है. अब मेरा mindset is a lot more, I would say, I'm becoming more stronger inside. पहले भी मैं generally strong था, mentally strong था, a lot more mentally resilient also. But now I think what I call it, to call it is, I'm on steroids, when it comes to resilience, when it comes to inner strength and courage. I live on steroids now. That's how I feel.
But you're not actually literally on steroids. is
No.
नहीं, but हो भी सकता है ना,
It's a
जितनी दवाई है.
metaphor.
हाँ, no, I'm
Not
glad.
in reality.
But
I have no medicines right now, nothing.
No
Thank
medicines?
God. No medicines, all chill. No multivitamins, nothing.
wow, that's amazing. But the recovery process is still on, and it will take a while.
Yeah.
And it's so we are just letting nature do its job. There's
I mean, now...
there are no procedures to be done.
No procedures. All good now.
What did you end up losing in this entire episode?
Obviously, I mean, amputations in my feet, and then also in my right hand with thumb and finger, and then the tips of the fingers. And those are the things that have, got amputated. And almost 50% of my body has new skin, and including my feet, that's very sensitive. It's like a current chal raha ho, electricity ho usme. So yeah.
And what are the timelines like on 100% recovery?
It's a journey. I mean, I've recovered already so much.
Yeah.
I mean, मुझे लगता था hospital में doctors को, friends को, family को, सबको कि it might take me 2.5-3 years to recover fully.
Yeah.
I think it's 11 months and I'm doing pretty well already.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah, you're on your own. You've come here and you're doing this podcast. No support.
Yeah, this is my first independent trip, without family support. So yeah, I think I'm doing great.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say to somebody who's hit rock bottom in life, who's at their lowest right now and is about to lose hope?
It's very important to, first of all, never compare my story with anyone's. Everyone has their own share of pain and things that, life has, made it adverse for them, made it challenging for them. So one thing that I would like them to know is never compare their story with anyone else. सबका अपना share of pain है. You can never undermine anyone's. You cannot belittle anyone. You have your own challenges. किसी के लिए वो सब relative है. किसी के लिए ज़्यादा है, किसी के लिए कम है. But you just can never undermine anyone's. Never compare yourself with anyone's journey. You are on your own journey. You have your own set of challenges that are equally important for you and in your life. First, if we keep that context in mind, then we can move forward. Then we can accept our reality. This is my reality. So that you don't keep, continue to live in that denial. ओ अच्छा मैं ठीक हो जाऊंगा, अरे नहीं, टाइम लगेगा. Have that patience, give yourself time. When you're going through those hardships, give yourself time. Things will not improve overnight. मैं आज 8 महीने बाद now I am like this. हॉस्पिटल में मेरे को कोई आके देख लेगा तो पता लगता है कि मैं तो चल भी नहीं सकता हूँ, खड़ा भी नहीं हो सकता हूँ, बेड में लेटा हूँ 5 महीने से. So you will not imagine during that time all of these things. But when you look in retro, things looks better. So give yourself enough time to recover. Give yourself enough time, to acknowledge everything that you're going through so that you can overcome that. So time, have that patience, keep persevering. It's so easy to give up in those hard and difficult moments. But वही तो time होता है to challenge yourself also, to not give up. When it gets going like tough, that's where you need to push your boundaries, push your limits, to not give up in those times. वहीं give up कर दिया तो खत्म, वहीं तो नहीं करना है. उसके बाद ही तो शुरू होगी अच्छी ब्यूटीफुल लाइफ. कहते हैं ना, अंधेरे के रात के बाद ही सवेरा होता है, सुबह होती है. वो अंधेरे में ही गिव अप कर देंगे तो सवेरा कैसे देखोगे यार? वो सवेरा देखने के लिए तुम्हें जगना पड़ेगा, आंखें खुली रखनी पड़ेगी. आंखें वहीं बंद कर ली तो सवेरा कहाँ दिखेगा? तो सवेरे को देखने के लिए इंतजार करना पड़ेगा. वो पेशेंस चाहिए कि रात खत्म होगी जरूर होगी. वो सुबह देखने के लिए इंतजार तो करो थोड़ा कि रात खत्म होने वाली है और पहली सूरज की किरण आने वाली है. And your world will lit up. Have that amount of patience. कुछ नहीं, ज्यादा नहीं तो उतना तो हो. इतनी जल्दी हम गिव अप कर देते हैं, किस लिए? Give yourself that chance. Believe in yourself, in your own abilities. क्यों हम अपने आप को इतना सवाल करते हैं? I mean, sometimes we can be very hard on ourselves, not on other people, but we can be very hard on ourselves.
Have you struggled with that?
Me? No.
Being hard on yourself?
No. Sometimes.
Before?
Sometimes. I mean, I can be ruthless on myself. But जब मैं training कर रहा था. But otherwise, as a person, no. I will give myself some slack. Yeah. Why will I? When I'm working hard, when I'm training hard, there are days when I'm not training, when I'm not running, when I'm not doing anything. It's okay. For me, it's okay. I'm not seeking perfection. I'm a perfectionist, but I don't always seek that. I have my cheat days. And I think everyone should have that.
Take it a little less hard on yourself.
Exactly. किसके लिए कर रहे हो? खुद के लिए कर रहे हो ना, किसी और के लिए थोड़ी ना कर रहे हो. किसी और को थोड़ी ना प्रूफ करना है.
Yeah. Wonderful, sir. Please tell me, what is it that mountains teach you that you can't learn on ground? मतलब अन्नपूर्णा में क्या ढूंढने जाते हैं लोग, एवरेस्ट पे क्या ढूंढने जाते हैं?
I mean, for me, mountaineering has taught me how to live a life. मैं तो लाइफ के lessons वहीं से सीखता हूँ. Mountains are my greatest, biggest teacher. You can always just lifelong teachers है, कभी भी मुसीबत में हो, कुछ सीखना है, माउंटेन्स की शरण में चल जाओ, माउंटेन सिखा देंगे. बिल्कुल स्टूडेंट बन के जाओ, वहाँ गुरूर लेके, अहंकार लेके, घमंड लेके, प्राउड वो वाली उसमें मत जाओ. सरेंडर योरसेल्फ टू द माउंटेन एंड माउंटेन विल मेक श्योर you will be a different person when you leave the mountain. And mountain will bless you, mountain will teach you all that you need to learn. So be open. Don't be a person with a closed mindset. Be open, I don't know everything. मुझे नहीं आता, it's okay. किसके लिए इतना गुरूर है? वो माउंटेन के सामने तो क्यों गुरूर दिखाना है? तुम क्या हो माउंटेन के सामने? लिटरली कीड़े की तरह दिखते हैं हम माउंटेन के लिए, चींटी की तरह, कण की तरह होते हैं. Why do we need all of this? You are nothing, so insignificant. तुच्छ प्राणी हो, तुच्छ प्राणी उस माउंटेन के सामने. और पता नहीं हम अपनी लाइफ में यहाँ पे इतना घमंड अहंकार लेके घूम रहे होते हैं, हम ही है, सब कुछ है। आई मीन कहाँ सीखने को मिलता है? माउंटेन के सामने ही तो मिलता है। माउंटेन आपको आपकी औकात दिखा देता है। जब एक एवलांच आता है, कुछ भी होता है, लाइक you realize who you are in that mountain. You better stay humble. The mountains always remind you to stay humble in your own lives. Don't show off. Don't do all of this to me. So वो मेरे लिए सबसे बड़ा है. Then दूसरी चीज, I mean, mountains teaches you to handle things one at a time. One step at a time. एक कदम दर कदम बढ़ाए चलो, पहुंच जाओगे समिट पे. पूरा रास्ता भी नहीं दिखेगा, वाइट आउट हो जाएगा, सब कुछ हो जाएगा. सेट ए बिग गोल, बट पुट माइलस्टोन्स. कैंप 1 पहुंचेंगे, पहले बेस कैंप पहुंचेंगे, कैंप 1, फिर कैंप 2, फिर कैंप 3, फिर कैंप 4, फिर समिट के लिए जाएंगे. और it's okay if you are not able to summit also. माउंटेनियरिंग में समिट जरूरी नहीं है, वो तो बोनस है. हो गया तो हो गया, नहीं हुआ तो जर्नी तो है ना, वो तो है, उसमें तो सीखो. एक्सपीरियंस दैट काउंट्स मोर देन द समिट. मैंने नहीं किया अन्नपूर्णा समिट. आई डोंट इवन टेल एनीवन आई सबमिटेड अन्नपूर्णा. इट्स ओके, आई कैन फेल ऑल्सो. यार वो अन्नपूर्णा है. Why do I always have to succeed and summit to call myself कि यार बस मैं तो माउंटेन्स चढ़ता हूँ. अरे माउंटेन चढ़ता हूँ, बट ये थोड़ी ना इसका मतलब कि I have to all the time also summit. With every win there are so many failures that also goes. We don't want to talk about those failures. We only want to talk about all the beautiful success, summits, achievements, all that proud moments. And now I personally take pride in my failures, because सारी learning तो वही होती है. क्या गलती हुई है, उसी से तो आप सीखते हो. माउंटेन आपको चीजों को स्लो करना सिखा देता है. Take it when it comes. I don't need all the answers right now. I can thrive in uncertainties. That's what mountain teaches me. I can actually thrive in uncertainties. I don't need all the answers right away. It'll come along when I'm ready. And वो मेरा mindset बन गया. मेरे को अभी मेरे लिए लाइफ में सब कुछ uncertainty है. मुझे नहीं पता मैं क्या करूँगा फ्यूचर में. It's okay, we'll figure it out. आगे कदम तो बढ़ाओ, रास्ते अपने आप खुल जाएंगे. एक बंद होगा दूसरा खुल जाएगा, बट खुलेगा जरूर. वो होप रखो, वो उम्मीद रखो. आज खराब वेदर है, कोई नहीं, 2 दिन बाद अच्छा हो जाएगा. राइट? आज है ना खराब, कल थोड़ी ना है. अभी तो वेट तो करो. आए हो तुम बेस कैंप पे, तुम्हें आज ही थोड़ी ना सबमिट करना है. हैव सम पेशेंस. प्ले द लॉन्ग टर्म गेम. डोंट प्ले दैट शॉर्ट टर्म गेम कि सब कुछ अभी चाहिए. अरे अभी नहीं होता है. अभी तुम पहुंचे हो बेस कैंप पे, सबमिट करने में भी दिन है. वो बिताओ वहां पे 15 दिन, 30 दिन, 20 दिन. ग्राइंड योरसेल्फ. वो जर्नी का पार्ट है. सो आई थिंक वी नीड टू बी मोर हम्बलिंग, एक्सेप्टिंग of the realities of being in a mountain. It's not your plains that you are living in, और अपने घर के बादशाह नहीं हो आप अभी यहाँ. आप माउंटेन्स की शरण में हो, माउंटेन्स के सराउंडिंग्स में हो. उनके हिसाब से चीजें चलेगी, आपके हिसाब से थोड़ी ना चीजें चलेगी. So be okay with all of these things. You are not in your comfort zone. Like stop seeking comfort all the time. फिर माउंटेन्स पे जाओ मत अगर आपको वही कंफर्ट चाहिए तो. I mean, बहुत सारी चीजें सिखाते हैं माउंटेन. I can go on and on.
Sure. But profound, like truly profound. And accepting uncertainties and still moving forward. It's a profound lesson, I think, and needed no matter what you're doing. Wonderful, sir. Thank you for sharing that.
Welcome.
We can wrap with a couple of questions.
Sure.
Yeah, so the way you manifest your life, tell me about that. What is power of manifestation?
I think
Are you religious?
I am slightly not too religious.
Okay.
I believe in God.
Mhm.
I don't know if it is religious God I believe in. For me, mountains are my God. So that's what I mean when I say religious. For me, my religion is mountain. Nature is my religion.
Mhm.
So that's what I believe in. And I'm not a very religious person. Not very, I mean, not at all. Hardly, I do things as part of traditions and rituals which my family practices.
Yeah.
I'm part of that. But I don't remember things कि ये ऐसे ही करना है, यही मंत्र बोलने हैं, वो मेरे को नहीं. हाँ, I remember a lot of mantra and shloks and these things, but like it's not necessarily my day-to-day way of living.
Okay.
कि I have to read हनुमान चालीसा every day और वो नहीं, मैं याद करता हूँ भगवान को बस.
But you don't like wear it on your sleeve or
Exactly. That's my personal connection with my God. बहुत ही direct है, personal है, वो है मेरा God के साथ रिश्ता.
Tell me about this. Tell me about manifestation.
So manifestation is like I manifest my life. I think so, and I think I do. मैं सोचता हूँ कि मैं क्या बनने वाला हूँ, क्या होऊंगा मैं आने वाले टाइम में, किस तरीके से मैं वहाँ पहुँचूंगा. तो एक तो है कि आपने एक गोल सेट किया है, आप उसको ध्यान में रखते हो, बट आई विजुअलाइज दैट. आई विजुअलाइज माई सेल्फ डूइंग दैट. आई विजुअलाइज माई सेल्फ क्लाइंबिंग अन्नपूर्णा. सिंपल, लाइक लेट्स से राइट नाउ in that moment I am manifesting myself. I can't wait to see myself climbing Annapurna again, climbing mountains again. I'm manifesting this. I know it will happen. It's just a matter of time. It will happen.
So is there a conscious effort at this, or is there like a thought comes, right? So
Thought comes,
let's say you had
it
desires
some
to do
light,
that.
You give it some air, sunshine, so that it grows. It's like slowly and slowly takes up space in your mind, and then one day it realizes. So overnight नहीं कुछ होता. It comes with time. You need to hold on to that for a while, for a long time. In my case, I'm sure I will climb. I don't know when. I'm not even expecting कि कल हो जाए या अगले साल हो जाए. 5 साल बाद होगा जरूर. होगा जरूर. I will. And when you manifest this, when you believe in this, वो चीजें होने लगती है, आगे बढ़ने लगती है, वो कदम आगे बढ़ते हैं आपके उस डायरेक्शन में that will prepare you to make that reality.
And that starts creating conditions for that to happen slowly.
We must manifest. At least I do. I'm not asking others. But for me it works. And sometimes it may not work also. That's okay. तो कभी हो सकता है, मुझे नहीं पता क्या है, but मैं तो करता हूँ.
As long as you believe in it.
I believe in it, and I manifest all the good things that will happen in life.
So tell me the process practically. So when you said there's a thought, there's a dream that you want to have, the thought is there, give it some sunshine, give it time. So what does sunshine really look like? It looks like time, like be patient with it, think over it again and again, or do you write it down, or what do you do with the thought?
Writing is one of the best things one can do to manifest also, I think so. When you write it down, read it. It reminds you. मैं तो कहता हूँ वॉल पे लिख के डाल दो कि ये मेरे सामने मुझे रोज दिख रहा है. वो मैनिफेस्टेशन वही हो रहा है. रोज आप कमरे में एंटर कर रहे हो, अपने रूम में, घर में एंटर कर रहे हो, वो आपको दीवार पे दिख रहा है अन्नपूर्णा. वो दिख रहा है. आई रिमेम्बर मैं अंटार्कटिका जब गया था, मेरी वॉल पे अंटार्कटिका था, मेरी क्लास में अंटार्कटिका था. बड़ा म्यूरल पेंटिंग बनाया हुआ था मैंने क्लास के अंदर. पेंगुइन्स है. फिर एक फ्रेंड ने मेरे लिए एक पेंटिंग बना के भेज दिया था क्रेयॉन्स का, मेरा अंटार्कटिका में, मुझे विजुअलाइज करके वो मेरे घर पे लगा हुआ था. सो पूरे टाइम आपको अंटार्कटिका आपके सामने दिख रहा है, जस्ट वेटिंग कि कब होने वाला है, जस्ट वेटिंग कि वो बस इट्स अराउंड द कॉर्नर, इट्स हैपनिंग, इट कैन हैपन एनी टाइम, जस्ट वेटिंग फॉर दैट मोमेंट. अरे इतने ना हुए थे उस टाइम पे उस जर्नी में भी, बट इन द एंड इट हैपन. वीजा रिजेक्ट कर दिया था, पैसे नहीं थे, क्या क्या नहीं था, बट इन द एंड इट हैपन. एक शिप डूब गया था, मेरे पेरेंट्स को पता लगा, they didn't share any of those negative things with me. They just like, if it is meant to happen, it will happen. If it is not meant to happen, he will not able to fundraise also.
Yeah.
Resources ही नहीं आएंगे for him to go to Antarctica. But somehow everything worked out. So for me, manifestation is something I've seen it working for me. And that's why I believe, I am someone who likes to manifest, yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, it is full of hope. Thank you. Tell me about the newfound purpose.
Pata nahi, I'm still figuring it out. I don't know why I'm here for, but I know for sure that I'm here for something larger than myself. Because I think last 33 years I've lived a beautiful life, very meaningful life, impactful life, touched lives of whatever number of people, lived, beautifully, traveled. It was very meaningful, very content. I had a lot of content in that. But now after this incident, I know for sure that this does not only belong to me. This is for some larger purpose, which I don't know yet. I'm giving it its own due time and, respect that it needs. It'll come to me when I'm ready. I'm not in rush or, pushing myself too much. Oh, आज ही figure out करना है. नहीं, हो जाएगा. I'm on that journey of figuring it out.
Wonderful. Before I ask my last question, please tell people where they can find you.
Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere, and my website, anuragmaloo.com and climbing4sdgs.com.
And on Instagram, you are as
Anurag Maloo, everywhere Anurag Maloo, my name, ANURAGMALOO.
Great. So do you believe this is a second sort of a chance you've got in this
Absolutely.
life? Right? Now, in the next 50 years, so let's say we're sitting in somewhere close to 2074, 75, 50 years have passed and you're, I don't know, 80 years or something, right? What have you done in the last 50 years to feel today that you've done well on your mission?
I mean, वो कहते ना, आनंद आना चाहिए उस मोमेंट पे. आनंद, कंटेंटमेंट होना चाहिए, नॉट हैप्पीनेस, आनंद. वो आनंद की अनुभूति मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ मुझे मिलेगी उस स्टेज ऑफ माई लाइफ में. एंड दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सीकिंग, दैट यू नो व्हाट, you did your part खुशी से. एंड वो क्या पार्ट है मुझे नहीं पता, बट उसकी अनुभूति करना चाहता हूँ कि यार हैप्पीली, खुशी से तूने ये कर लिया, अब एक्सपीरियंस कर उस आनंद को. आई वांट टू एक्सपीरियंस दैट आनंद, दैट कंटेंटमेंट, दैट ट्रू जॉय, प्योर ब्लेस.
Yeah. But what would you have done in the last 50 years to feel that?
मुझे नहीं पता मैं क्या करने वाला हूँ. मुझे भी सच में नहीं पता. I don't know. I will have to figure it out. पता नहीं क्या करूँगा. But I really hope one thing that I will continue to do is to share my story with the world. And if it can inspire anyone, I think I'll do my part for sure, that this story can help people move forward in their lives.
I mean, you definitely have inspired a lot of people, and one sitting in front of you right now. So
thank you. You're very kind.
Great, and thank you for sharing this story. It has been enriching. The whole journey, witnessing the whole journey, has been enriching and rewarding for me personally in so many ways. And I know a lot of my friends are also looking forward to this. So when this comes out, they'll be super excited. Thank you so much for making time and sharing this.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to meet you in person and to have this conversation with you. Very, very grateful that, you reached out and we were able to find time to do this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vipin. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.